Okay, alright. So, okay, can you hear me and can you see me clearly?
Yes.
Alright. So, with the timekeeper here, we can start the debate now. Okay, before we start the debate, can we do a small roll call? Can you please introduce yourself, starting from the government side?
Assalamualaikum and hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I am Shamim and I am the Prime Minister from the government side.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Nur Ain and I'm the Deputy Prime Minister.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Eng Chuan Chi and I'm the whip speaker of the government side.
Alright, thank you. Opposition?
My name is Sofwan and I am the opposition leader.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Zulaika and I'm the Deputy Opposition Leader.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm just going to assume that I'm audible. I'm Adrian. I'm the opposition whip.
Alright, thank you. Okay. So without further ado, we will start the debate now. Okay, so for today's motion, this House would ban any speech and publication denying man-made climate change. Without further ado, I would invite the Prime Minister to set up the case. Here.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day. I am the Prime Minister for today's debate. And first of all, I would like to emphasize the motion for today is that this House would ban any speech and publication denying man-made climate change. So before I start to represent my points and the points that will be represented by my second speaker and the third speaker, I would like to define today's motion. So first of all, we are now in a debate talking about why we should ban the speech or any publication that denies man-made climate change. So who are we supposed to ban? We're supposed to ban these people who denies man-made climate change, or with a more established term, we call that climate change deniers. Okay. So what is climate change in the first place? Climate change is a global warming effect that's happening in our environment right now. And what are man-made climate change? So man-made climate change, as an example, man-made aerosols constitute a more acute problem that can affect our global environments. And many of the man-made climate change effects are promptly reversible. Hence, we, as responsible beings, should strive for elimination at the source. Man-made climate change is well established, and also it is something that we all know is happening right now. Because man-made climate change, it is a reality and it has been confirmed. So we should ban people who deny man-made climate change, because we want to avoid misleading people. Because nowadays there are a lot of people who believes in conspiracy theories regarding regarding our environmental state, and they are taking advantage towards this. As an example, climate change denier Senator James Inhofe is a chairman of the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works. According to Oil Change International, Inhofe has received over $2 million in political contributions from the fossil fuel industry. He once compared the Environmental Protection Agency to the Gestapo and brought a snowball into the Senate floor to disprove global warming. These kind of people who denies man-made climate change for their own advantages and for their own benefits, we should ban them. Any speech or any publication coming from them. Because why? Because we do believe that we should avoid misleading people. And climate denialism is not beneficial, because its main goal is to produce doubt and not the truth. And we should also believe, the government side believe that why we should ban this is because we want to block necessary actions. As an example, the rich countries emissions of they emit a lot. a lot of greenhouse gases and do injustice to the poor countries or developing countries. And also it will definitely affect the near future generation. So if we allow climate denialism, it's as if that we are avoiding to block necessary actions to reduce the emissions, and which is also not fair, because we are not supposed to allow these climate deniers the right to spread their messages. In order how to ban these people or and speeches or any publications for those who deny man-made climate change will be explained by my second speaker. Okay, I would like to continue. Galpspan's Boiling Point. It's a book published in 2004 that details the fossil fuels industry campaign. He once denied that climate change and undermined public confidence in climate science. The truth about this denial is that they have made a well-coordinated and well-funded campaign for this denial. However, we do believe that it creates a paralyzing fog of doubt around climate change. Despite this, all companies also organized a climate change denial campaign to disseminate public disinformation for several decades. This only proves that the more reason that we should ban these people from doing any speeches or publications regarding denying man-made climate change, because we're not just misleading these innocent people into another conspiracy theory regarding our environmental state, but we are also as if that we are allowing other ignorant people to do actions that that benefit them from doing these misleading actions. So it is only relevant for us to ban these any speeches or any publications regarding denying man-made climate change, because the potential for anthropogenic changes of climate change is on a larger and evil on a global scale. It is real. It's happening right now. Moving on. Why? As I've already mentioned, why we should be banning these climate change deniers is because it is reported that their denial conspiracy theory is running at full throttle. The more that we avoid to ban these kind of speeches or publication regarding denials of man-made climate change, the more we are actually allowing them, we are actually encouraging them to do any misleading informations for other people regarding this matter. So blocking necessary actions is by banning their speech, and also the publication regarding denying man-made climate change is the most relevant action that we should be doing right now, because the environment that we'll be facing 100 years from now, or maybe 50 years from now, the global climate change is happening, and it's going to affect not just the future generation, but also the current generation that will be living till that far. And by that, I would like to re-emphasize the government stance that we believe that this house would ban any speech and publication denying man-made climate change. And for that, I would like to rest my case.
All right. Thank you to Prime Minister for her speech. Now I would like to invite the opposition leader to deliver the opposition's case here. And then a gentle reminder to the timekeeper, please show the timer on the screen during the debate session so that the debaters can better time themselves during the whole debate, yeah?
My speech will begin in 1, 2, 3. Stopping someone from talking about something won't make them not believe in it. In fact, it will only confirm their beliefs. So before I continue, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a pleasant day a bit to all members of the floor. So allow me to tell you what I will be doing. First, I will be debunking the arguments given by side government just now. Afterwards, I will be giving to you 2 arguments under the key phrases. infringing upon free speech, and fosters distrust against the government. Now, let's take a look at the points given by side government. So the first thing that the government did today was that they told us about how climate change is real, how it is reversible, how to avoid misleading. Now that's the thing. I first would like to establish the common ground. Our side also wishes to stop climate change, wishes to stop the misleading information being spread against climate change, and to prevent climate change as a whole. So they gave us examples about conspiracy. They gave examples of how a senator bribed people, how the senators tried to stop people from trying to establish climate change is not real. Well, that's the thing. They did not give us a good reason why their actions would prevent that from happening. They did not give us a good reason why, by banning these people from speaking about it, it will stop people from believing that climate change is not real. They only give us a good reason. They never gave us a good reason why. They only talk about why climate change is bad, why we should stop people from talking about climate change is not real and everything else. They never talked about why actually this action will prove to be helpful in the battle against misleading information. That's the thing that the government side today has done. Now, as that is all that I have heard about from the government side, I shall be moving on to the stance. Our stance, is that banning speech and publication denying man-made climate change is detrimental in the battle against misinformation. As a matter of fact, it will make the misinformation even worse. So the burden on side opposition today is to prove how banning speech and publication would cause even more misinformation to spread, cause even more distrust against the government, and prevent climate change from happening as a whole. So I shall move on to my argument, which is infringing upon free speech. Now, what reason should the government be given the right to decide what a person should be able to speak about? There is no reason why a government should be able to ban people from talking about a certain topic. This is not unethical. It's not a good thing for a government to have. It's not a power that should be given to a government. What if in the future this extends to things beyond climate change? What if they try to silence people who try to speak the truth? This will be what the people see. They will see that the people who believe in climate change will see that the government is trying to ban people, trying to silence people who are trying to speak the truth. This is what the public will see against the government. And this is essentially oppressing the media. What good democracy is if there is no truthful media, if there is no media that is free to speak at their own will? This will foster even more distrust against the government. Which brings me to my second point, which is fosters distrust against the government. Here's the thing. The government side mentioned something about conspiracies. Conspiracies usually involves the government. And the government side today is trying to silence people who are trying to talk about it. And that's the thing here, people. Because those people are being silenced, because they are not allowed to talk about this climate change thing, they see it as a government trying to silence those who are trying to speak the truth. Yes, please.
As what said by the respected speakers now, are you trying to say that you're allowing people to give misleading information by letting them voicing out their opinions regarding this matter? Thank you.
We are not trying to spread misleading information. What we're trying to do is facilitate conversation between people who do not believe in climate change and the scientists who are trying their best in order to prove it. What you're doing is silencing them. You're not allowing them to talk about it. How will those people who genuinely believe that climate change is real know that climate change is real? People who genuinely believe that climate change is not real believe in climate change if they're not allowed to talk about it. That's the thing here. It will foster distrust. It will make them even more disbelief in the people who are trying to prove it to them. And this will be further elaborated upon by the second speaker. Now, continuing on my speech. Okay, so it may sound funny to you. It may sound funny to anyone who is watching this. They think that, the people who do not believe, the people who believe in these conspiracy theories are nuts. They don't think about it very well. They just are easily fooled by it. Now, that's the thing about humans. Humans are emotional creatures. They are easily fooled by something. They can be persuaded. And that's the thing. If you do not allow them to think about it, if they do not facilitate conversation between two sides, then they want to be able to understand it better. Okay. And then I'd also like to talk about how oppressing the media will, it may sound, okay, about the infringing upon free speech. Another thing that I would like to mention about is how it may cause public outcry. Okay, once again, distrust over the government, and what will happen next is that people will be even more distrustful towards the government, and this will be further elaborated upon by the second speaker. I believe that is all that I have to say from side opposition as the opposition leader. Vote for side opposition. That is all from me. Protect the environment, prevent misinformation. That is all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you to the Leader of Opposition for his speech. Now, I would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister to deliver her case. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Just because humans are driven by emotion, it doesn't mean that we should believe in our instinct totally or not. And it is upon the authority to make it clear what is right and what is wrong. And in the government side, we believe, and all of us should believe, that climate change is real. And the one who still denying it in this age is something like not, it's unreasonable things that there's still a lot of humans that doesn't believe in climate change. So before I begin my speech, I would like to reaffirm what my prime minister has said. We said that this house would ban any speech and publication denying man-made climate change. Why? Because as I've mentioned before, climate change is real. And to avoid any misleading or misinformation, we want to ban the speech and publication. It's not that we want to restrict people from expressing their thoughts, or we still want to facilitate. Have we still want to make the people have a platform of conversation. But if this thing is already solid there, this is right and this is wrong, what you want to argue about? And the my part and sorry gentlemen, I won't take it. I will not take it. And the leader of opposition said that their point is their banned speeches is detrimental against the misconversation, and it is not ethical. Like, as we can see now, due to the conversation in the Twitter and in the social media, it can cause a lot of issues, and it's sometimes due to the heavy conversation. Sometimes it can lead to what we call it can lead to like argument or something. So that is my rebuttal, and I will move to my points on under the keywords is how we can ban the speech and publication. So as we acknowledge, the first one is made a policy changes on to restrict the speeches and the publication. For example, as we acknowledge, the big companies such as Google or YouTube already ban the advertisement that's made by the climate change denial on their platform. And this is the proof that they also want to standardize that it is that climate change is right, is real. And so if the big company already did that, so why you want to still ignore the fact that we should we should ban the publication regarding the denial of man-made climate change, because it is already done by the big company, and it is already done by the big company. And if you are still supporting that we cannot ban it, it means that maybe you are the one who benefits from it. And as we can see, I'm sorry, gentlemen. And before we and I move to my next point is, and as we know that the one who against the one who against us is maybe is the, as the mention of my prime minister before, they are the one who benefit from it. And because they don't want the common people to know what they're doing, because they're making benefits and getting profit from it. So before I end my speech, I would like to emphasize that this house would ban speech and publication on the denying of man-made climate change under the keyword is want to avoid misleading and want to standardize what is right and what is wrong, and also have the, and I already mentioned on how we can do the restriction. Thank you. And I end my case.
Okay. All right. Thank you to the Deputy Prime Minister for her speech. Now I would like to invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to present the case from the opposition side. Here.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, greetings for the judge, the timekeeper, and the educator, the timekeeper, and the members. So, I'm as the deputy of opposition leader. Will continue this debate. Now, before I start, there are a few things that I would like to say to the government sides. From the first speaker and the second speaker, we only heard the reason about how banning this man-made climate change, but there are no good reason about what to achieve from the goal. Like, okay, let's say that you will ban this free speaking, but what does that good make to us? So, and from the second speaker, big you said that second speaker will give us information about what do you want to do on banning this man-made climate change, but I don't hear any. I only hear about the policy changes, but that are not that not give any much information, and you only give the example of big company removing the ads about man-made climate change. That still doesn't say about how you would like to do it. Um, and also, as the opposition team, we would like to emphasize that we do not gain any benefit from we do not gain any benefit that you say that we will get just because we approved the speech of publication men denying climate change. All we ever wanted was to give the people the right for their speech. And you said that you wanted to give them platform, but you wanted to set what is right and what's wrong, and that just not reasonable. So moving to my argument, I would give two arguments, which is by banning this speech and public speech, will shutting out communication and conversation. And the second argument is this problem won't go away but will go underground. Now, for my first argument, which is the shutting down, why do I say that banning this speech will shutting down communication is because human, just as you all say that human is very emotional. So when you try to suppress their question, they will get more suspicious and they will want to know more. Yeah, that's the thing. And also when you ban this kind of speech, people will forget about it, but then they will come, the next generation will have the same thought, and then they will do this research again, and they will start from the zero and not continuing from the people before them. So they will just go around the circle, and there are no progress being made about this man-made climate change. And also, when you try to shutting them out, this is what led to my second argument, which is the problem won't go away but will go underground, because since they cannot speak out loud, they will like collect their people with the same thought and speak it in the underground, on their basement, in their own house, like secretly, and then they will just confirm their own belief, which is kind of led to the confirmation bias, which means that since they are only picking up people that have the same thought, they will only pick out the information that they already have. Just confirming that and coming out the theory that is unreasonable and would lead to destruction. And yeah, since people are not allowed to speak, there are no regulation made on, and they will only like stick to their own opinion, which is kind of opposite from your own point, the government point, which is you said you wanted to ban this speech just because you want to avoid misleading. But we as the opposition believe that if you ban that just make them more curious and will come to more theory and their own agenda without the actual scientific explanation, since they cannot talk to anyone and the government doesn't help them. So yeah, that's all. So yeah, I think so. With that being said, as the opposition team, we do believe that by banning this public speech will just cause more insignificant theory and unreasonable theory, and will let people will get lost. So with that being said, thank you.
All right. Thank you to the deputy leader of opposition for her speech. Now I would like to invite the government whip to re-establish the case for the government side. Here.
Hello. Am I audible? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My speech would start in 3, 2, 1. A very good afternoon to the honorable judges and all the members of the floor. I, as the whip speaker for the government team, would like to strongly express my support for the motions, which is this House would ban any speech and publications denying man-made climate change because it will not it will be detrimental to the efforts in culling this climate change. Now, the opposition seems to have set their mind on criminalizing the government as trying to shut down the speech of the people. However, we are not trying to prevent them from talking about it. We're just saying that we will not tolerate this the speech and publication from people with authority from making it to public. For example, a lot of people, the people who make this speech, for example, the CEO of a fossil oil company, or maybe head of controversial theory, the head of controversial theories and all that. These people, they have some sort of power, and these people with power are the ones that we're trying to stop from spreading misinformation. The general public can still have discussions, yes.
But you're not just saying that, are you? You are saying that you will ban any speech and publication, right? So it's not just about the people in power.
All right, thank you. Speech and conversation are different. A speech is made by somebody who stands on the stage towards a whole crowd of people, whereas a conversation is set in a private setting with a bunch of people voicing their own opinions, and it's generally talking, like this debate right now. This debate is not a speech, is it? Now, we are trying to ban these speeches and publications, so, right, and to prevent this sort of misinformation. And okay, just now the deputy leader said that when we ban, the people will forget, but the next generation will research again. But if we ban it, there will be nothing for them to research. There will be no basis for them on the internet. Every contradicting thoughts they have will not be found on the internet or the media or any written history, because we have banned it. We have banned this falseness from making its way into this World Wide Web where everyone has access to. And when they cannot find this so-called proof, they cannot solidify their doubts. They cannot solidify their arguments because there is no proof. Did I hear something?
Yes,
Yes. Yes?
That's not exactly promoting conversation, is it? Banning everything.
We are banning people who has the power, who has the authority or certain authority or has certain positions from saying this. The people who are like students like me and you, we can still talk about it. We can still present our views. And because these views are false, it will be deproven in a conversation setting. However, in a speech, people are not able to voice their thoughts. The listeners only listen, and they can, even if they try to talk it out, the people who are listening to this speech are usually people who has the same thought. So it's almost impossible to present the truth. Get it? All right. As the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister has said, by banning this all speech and publication, we will be taking away the main source of falseness. Where do you think people get these ideas? It may suddenly pop up as you are falling off, as you are about to drift off to sleep. But most of the time, it comes up because you see posts like saying, you see contradicting posts like on the internet or in the newspaper. It's because you see this that you have this sort of doubts in the first place. So this is the very epitome of misleading, as our Prime Minister had mentioned. And by banning these, we are removing the misleading information. We are taking away the thing that is encouraging people to not believe in climate change, this very real climate change. And then our Deputy Prime Minister has given steps on how to restrict these bans, to which the leader of opposition said that to which the leader of opposition said that there is no regulation made and that people stick to their own opinion. However, by making restrictions, we are making the regulations. You see that we have a regulation on how to ban and what to ban. We will not ban topics that are discussing. We will not ban publications that are discussing. We are banning the publications that are outright denying. I hope that makes it clear to the opposition. And the Deputy Prime Minister also mentioned all the benefits to banning this speech, which also reaffirms our Prime Minister's speech, which is it will remove the misleading information and help people and guide people towards the truth by only publishing the truth. So when people see the truth only, they will not even have the doubt in the first place. And with this, I will end my speech by reaffirming the stand that this House would ban any speech and publication outright denying man-made climate change. And with that, I will rest my case.
Thank you to the government whip for the very enthusiastic speech. Now I would like to call upon the opposition whip to deliver the last say for today's debate. Here.
The ridiculousness of the government stance today is clear to all of you. Before that, good afternoon, right? Good afternoon. And I would like to start by saying that this is what we agree on, okay? I'm just going to emphasize this and make this very clear. We agree that man-made climate change is real, and we agree that battling misinformation is something that is crucial. Here is what we don't agree on. We don't agree that banning speech and publication is the best way to combat this, to combat misinformation and raise awareness on climate change, right? The government thus far has not provided any substantial points. Why is that? Here, the first speaker, the Prime Minister, talks about climate change being real, the importance of climate change. We agree with that. We have no disagreements there, right? We know that climate change is something that we are going to address, but why? Tell me why. Tell me why banning speech and publication is the best way forward. You're not giving any points, right? The second speaker, Deputy Prime Minister, you said that it is up to the authorities to decide what you should believe. Is this Big Brother? Is it 1984? Right? Is this what we really want? The government deciding what we should believe, what we should not believe, what we should say, what we should not say, what we should hear, what we should not hear. Is that what we really want? Please, government, right? We agree that climate change is real, right? And you said that big companies like Google and YouTube are what? They're not allowing people who are denying climate change to make content, right? But that doesn't make it the most effective way. That's an appeal to popularity. Does that make it right? Does that make it the most effective way? You are the government. You should decide. No, not now, please. And finally, the third speaker, you said a speech is something that someone stands on a stage and talks about what? That's not the speech we're talking about, is it? We're talking about free speech. Why are you twisting definitions to mean that in particular? When we're talking about speech as in free speech, we're talking about speech and conversation and discourse and discussion. That's speech, right? Yes, your POI? Do you have a POI?
All right.
Yes.
Let's say that, okay, because we are saying that denying man-made climate change is bad. However, if these false misinformation is floating around the net and the government takes no action, what will the people think?
Right. Let me address that by repeating our points. What have we given this discussion and debate? Firstly, we talked that banning any speech and publication that's denying man-made climate change is an infringement upon free speech, firstly. Number 2, it shuts down communication and conversation. Number 3, the deniers will not go away. They will go underground. And finally, this will foster distrust against the government, right? Here's why it infringes upon free speech. As I've said, we don't want an authoritarian government. That's what a democracy is about. Why should the government be given the power to decide what you should hear and what you should not hear? Even if it is wrong, we disprove what is wrong by using facts and science and whatever it is, right? Deniers come from two places. Deniers come from, maybe they gain profit from denying. But there are also deniers who are just ignorant, right? They follow what the people in power are saying. These are the people that we are supposed to be helping. By denying conversation and communication, what does that show to the people? We don't want conversation to occur. We are silencing any opposing view, right? If there is no communication and conversation, how can progress be made? If there is no conversation discussing why this is true, why this is not true, how can anyone learn? How can anyone decide that this is the right thing? Oh no, the government says so. No, that's not how progress works. That's not how a democracy works. Deniers will not go away, they will go underground. Let's say if I were to ban any person who believes or says that the earth is flat, what will happen? These people will congregate underground, somewhere hidden, and they will talk among each other, reinforcing their own beliefs, creating an echo chamber, and what do we have? The problem is still there. The problem has not gone away. We have not done anything to combat misinformation at all. These people will keep on believing what they believe, but now it's worse. It's underground where it can't be regulated, where there will be no counter idea, counter arguments at all, right? How is that going to help us at all? And finally, people who believe in conspiracy theories, people who believe that this is what the government is trying to peddle, a myth. It's an agenda, a hidden agenda. What will these people think if the government tries to ban any counter idea? They will think that, yeah, this is why, right? Because it's not true, it's not real. That's why the government is trying to silence anyone that's trying to speak against them. That's in essence what conspiracy is about. If you double down on this, if you ban it, if you restrict people from having conversations if you restrict people from just having an opinion and expressing that, what's that going to do to free speech? What's that going to do to democracy and the freedom of thought, right? We're not trying to create 1984, right? This is not what we want. Please. So I hope that the ridiculousness of the government stance today is clear to all of you. Let me just repeat that. We are not against promoting misinformation, we do not deny that climate change is real. We disagree that banning is the best thing to do and is the right thing to do. With that, I rest my case.
All right, thank you to the opposition whip for his speech. Now I would allocate 1 minute for each members of the team to prepare their reply speech session. Timekeeper, are you ready? All right, so your 1 minute prep time starts now. Now I would like to invite the representative from the opposition side to deliver their reply speech. Here. Reply speech should be 4 minutes only. All right, thank you for the amendment. Okay, so ready when you are, okay, opposition side?
My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a step back and look at things from an eagle's eye view. Let's take a look at the big flaws from side government. The first thing they did not do was provide a clear definition on today's motion, which led today's debate to enter a state of a lull. We are not clear upon how they will ban it, what type of speeches will be banned, who they will ban. This is something that should have been done by side government in the very first part of their speech by the Prime Minister, but they did not do so. And as a matter of fact, a point in definition. The definition came from the third speaker of side government, and that is very unfair in today's debate. Another big flaw they did not address our points regarding free speech. They did not address at all about how this will infringe upon the public's free speech. How will the public react to having their free speech being infringed upon? How will they feel that they cannot speak about what they want to do? And this is very problematic. And then, last but not least, another biggest problem, is that they did not provide a very clear case at all. They did not provide how exactly banning any speech and publication denying man-made climate change will prevent misinformation from spreading. They kept giving on examples, but those examples did not have any proof that they work at all. They talk about Google, they talk about YouTube banning ads and everything, but those did not prove that misinformation did not spread any further. Those are just examples of what has been done, not the effectiveness of it, and that is very problematic on side government. Moving on, let's take a look at the clashes. Today's debate has been rather stagnant. What I think the government side has been doing is just squirreling away from trying to address the biggest problem. Why will this work? Why will this banning even work in the first place? They did not do that at all. Meanwhile, from our side, we have given to you first, it will infringe upon people's free speech. How will people react to that? They will be furious. It is my right to speak. It is my right to speak about whatever I want right here, right now. And then they also did they also talked about how meanwhile, on our side, we have proven to you how this will be harmful towards the battle against misinformation in of itself. We have given to you how this will cause an echo chamber in which people will just keep on going round and round around this debacle without any conclusion, except this time underground. They just don't expose it to the media and everything. They just do it among themselves, and that is very problematic. You can't regulate that. It just happens by itself. We have also given to you as to how this will prevent people from understanding climate change in of itself. What you will be doing, what the government side, in the government side's world, there will be no discussion between people. What I mean here is discussion in public forums, discussion that will allow more people to understand about it, not just small discussions among people. It's just a big discussion that will affect a lot of people. That is what we need to do. We need to have these big debates that of people debating about it, people trying to explain their best. These scientists need to talk to these deniers, need to talk to the deniers and tell them exactly how climate change works in order to get more people to understand regarding this matter. And this is how we have proven to you how banning these people from speaking will cause more harm, will cause more misinformation than ever. And this is why side opposition should take today's debate, because we have proven to you, we have given to you our burden of proof, and we have done so. And that is all for me. Vote for side opposition. Vote for the safety of our environment. That is all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, opposition side, for your reply speech. Now, let's invite the government side to deliver their reply speech. Here.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day. First of all, I would like to thank the leader of opposition for his reply speech because he had clearly showed to us that the opposition side has failed to acknowledge the facts that has been strengthened by the first speaker, second speaker, and the third speaker of the government side. They refuse to acknowledge the fact that we've already set out a proper case for this motion, and they've also refused to understand that we've already gave a lot of mechanisms and in terms on why we should then ban people who deny this man-made climate change and so on. The opposition say that we haven't gave any reasons why banning these speeches. This is where the clashes are very obvious. We can see that it proves how ignorant the oppositions are with our stance. It is as if that they are trying to debate with their own set of minds without acknowledging the efforts that the governments are trying to propose. Because banning their speeches or publications for these climate change deniers helps to outline the generation about the real thing that is happening in our environment. We've been emphasizing that and we've been focusing on that fact from my speech to the third speech, but unfortunately, they haven't acknowledged the fact. We are not, by banning them, we are not trying to silence their opinion. The second speaker and also the third speaker from my side, from the government side, had already emphasized that speech and also conversation are two different things. And they've also said that we failed to give alternatives on, or we have failed to give reasons on why banning them is the best thing. But we've already mentioned that with banning them, we are stopping them from having a platform to convey this denial climate change. They're talking about restricting something, but the opposition side themselves haven't given any alternatives in order to restrict from letting this misleading information to happen. Because we should understand that the more that we allow people to have this sort of freedom of speech, the more people will doubt. The more of this fog of doubt will enclose people's mind. And we should understand that by banning these speeches or publication from these climate change deniers, we are trying to reinforce the truth and supporting it with facts, not by letting these opinions flow in media and letting them to spread their own conspiracy theories for their own benefit. We are trying to dispel the controversial theories as soon as possible. If the opposition side are trying to talk about the free speech, we've already mentioned that it is illegal to deny the existence of the climate change and such. So by having them this freedom of speech, it's as if that we're allowing them to have this sort of climate change denialism. And this is what we're trying to outlaw right now. This is what we're trying to stop. Because we know that climate change, especially man-made climate change, brings a lot of harm, especially to the surviving members in particular. And it is also damaging the human dignity in general. And with that, before I end my speech, I would like to emphasize that the oppositions have been debating with their own set of mind. They failed to acknowledge the facts that have been strongly given by the first, second, and also third speaker of the government side. And it still does not change the fact that by banning the speech or publication for these man-made climate change denials will actually help for the sake of our environments. So with that, I would like to end my case by stating that this House would ban any speech and publication denying man-made climate change. With that, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you to the representative from the government side. So the debate has come to an end. I would request for a little bit of time allocation for me to tabulate the scores and to decide which